Anything you put your mind to, you accomplish. And you never back down cause you deserve it. The light shines in you cause you're the realest. And you walk by faith, you're optimistic. You inspire me, girl, you inspire me. You're so inspirational. Inspirational. My name is Gormika Sturdivant, and today I have with me Raven Ball, the founder of Iron Sharpens Iron. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So I wanted to first ask you, how did you come up with Iron Sharpens Iron, and what is it for?
So, Iron Sharpens Iron started when I was in my junior year of college. I attended a church at the time, and at the church, they had an internship program for college students. It was called 252. And one of the requirements of the small group was, or one of the requirements of the internship was to teach a small group. And I
Okay.
didn't know this at the time when I joined, because honestly, if I had known that, I don't know if I would have joined it. I wasn't really confident in like my ability to lead people like public speaking or anything at the time, at least not how I am now.
Okay.
So I remember it was a Thursday night. I was, at service, and I think it was before, well, no, I think it was after service or towards the end. And they were asking, like, does anyone want to join 252? And I don't know, I just felt like this pull within me. And I remember my heart was beating fast. Like I was nervous. Like, why am I nervous all of a sudden?
Yeah.
But I felt like this pull within me to join. So I just took the leap and I joined.
Okay.
And that's when I found out that they had a requirement that you had to lead a small group. So I was working on campus as an RA at the time, and my supervisor at the time, he actually helped me to start it that first year. So it was actually me and him that kind of put it together that first year.
Okay.
And after that first year, I led it on my own. So from then until now, I've been kind of doing it on my own. So that was my junior year. I think that was 2016. So
Mhm.
we've been, the small group has been going on since 2016. And that's kind of how it came about. We went from meeting on campus in the dorms to, of course, obviously with COVID meeting on Zoom, but, we've
Okay.
since grown and done a lot of different things. So that's kind of how it started.
Okay. So what age is it geared for?
Yes, so it started as a small group for college students.
Okay.
So, was this like 18 to 21 around that age. But since a lot of us have transitioned out of college, and we do still have a few college students, I typically say the ages are like 18 to 35-ish. But sometimes we do have some people who are even older than that that'll join and sit on. So it's not like
Mhm.
a strict cutoff or anything, because I
Yeah.
don't turn people away, of course, but those are typically the ages, like young adult age.
Okay. And how do people join it? Like, how do they hear about this?
So I have a flyer that I post every week on my Instagram. And it's also been like posted on Facebook. But honestly, a lot of the people that have joined have just been word of mouth. And so
Okay.
that's one of the ways that I know that God has blessed the group, because we have grown since we first started meeting, but a lot of it has just been word of mouth.
Yeah.
So people inviting their friends, quite a few people in the small group have podcasts. So they'll share the information about the group on their podcast. So we've had someone join that way. We've had people join from, the flyer that has been posted. So I'll post a flyer, then may have other members post the flyers, but it's just, we meet on Zoom. So it's just a Zoom meeting ID, and you can hop on and join, and that's really it.
So what kind of meeting is it? Like, what kind of activities, or is it like a workshop? What do you do to keep them engaged?
Yeah, so I'll first go over the objectives of the small group, and I think that'll kind of give you a better idea.
Okay.
So some of the objectives of the small group is for, of course, young adults who grow closer in relationship with Christ, want to create a space where they can form godly relationships and friendships. So one of the things that we do is we'll have like outings every so often. So it may be community service events. So that's how we kind of got tied in with Jesse's Place. We've
Mhm.
done an event where we went out to Land Park in Birmingham. We fed the homeless. We participate in Angel Tree with a ministry in Tuscaloosa called the Crossroad College Ministry. So we've done things like that, but we also have done group outings, so like bowling, skating. So just spaces and opportunities where the members could get together and kind of meet one another.
Okay.
One of the other objectives is and tied in with that is just to have fun.
Okay.
But also to grow and develop the people within the small group. So we've had some members that have led some of the sessions some Mondays, and also to give them opportunities to give. So that's where the community service comes in. So
Okay.
typically with the meetings, we meet every Monday at 7 p.m. Central Time. And it used to be where I used to teach every Monday. So I would
Okay.
have a topic and I would teach it every Monday. So maybe something like friendships or how to read your Bible or tithing or things like that.
Okay.
But then, since the small group has evolved, I've definitely wanted to evolve the teachings with it because, teaching is great, but people can get tired of doing the same thing week. So now what we do is I'll teach 2 to 3 times out of the month. And then the other Mondays, we play a game. So we've done like Jeopardy, Pictionary, Song Association. And then I try to get a speaker once a month. So I'll bring someone from the outside in once a month, just so that they can hear from someone other than me sometimes. So we'll do that. And then coupling that with the outings and community service events, we have a variety of things that we do. But all of it, at the core, all of it is to, of course, give God glory and give him, the praise that's due him, but we just do it in a
Mhm.
lot of different ways.
So did you say if it was all female or is it female and male?
It's female and male. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we do have more women than men. So of course, any men who would like to join are welcome. But in my experience, it's typically easier to get women to join than men. But we do have some men, but it is for women and men.
Okay. So how do they what is the impact? I guess like do you ever get feedback on how when you're teaching, like, do people come up to you and talk to you about the experience and what
Yeah.
they're receiving?
Yes. So I do make it a point, since I'm leading the small group, to check in with the members every now and then because I don't want people to just kind of get lost in the sauce out
Yeah.
there. So I do make it a point to check in with them every now and then. And oftentimes they will tell me, like sometimes even after a lesson, people will say, I really needed that, or that was just for me. Like I've been going through that, or, and not that I had even known that initially, but I know that God had given them the word they needed. And then
Mhm.
there may be other times where people just tell me about the impact the small group has had on them. So how it has helped them grow, how they've learned so much. And I actually do see that growth because, we talk about your spiritual journey. The Bible talks about you have some people who are like babies, so they're on milk. So then
Mhm.
as babies grow, they become to eat solid food. So you go from just being on milk to, incorporated some meat. So
Yeah.
even I see that growth from some of the members because some of the members have been with me since 2016. So
Okay.
I see that growth in them from then until now. So it also may be instances where, people may reach out if they have prayer requests or anything like that. And I will also say, so we do have a group message that I put together so that I can share news about the group. People can sometimes they share like TikToks they may find about biblical stuff, or they may share prayer requests. So I even see the growth in the members because some people who don't typically like talk in small group or whatnot, they'll be posting stuff in the group message. People be encouraging one another. So I see the impact in that way and how the group interacts with one another and how they physically tell me like, this is the impact that it's had on me or that lesson was what I needed. And so, it's not always a verbal thing. Sometimes it's just me observing, but it's kind of a combination of both.
Okay. So were you raised in a spiritual background, like a Christian home?
Yes. So my family, I grew up in church. Our denomination is Church of God in Christ. So that was the church that I grew up in. And I grew up with the biblical stories. You got Noah in the ark and Jonah in the whale and all these people. But I'll say that I didn't really get to know God for myself. And what I mean by that is getting to know him on a personal, intimate relationship until
Okay.
I got in college. So all of the learning that I had when I was growing up in church kind of gave me that foundation.
Mhm.
But I didn't make the choice for myself to get to know him until I got in college. But I did have that foundation growing up, but it just didn't quite hit me, I guess, until later on.
Okay. And so with growing up, I guess in the Christian background, is that the reason you like, have that in your heart to help other people learn about him and to get closer to him?
Yeah, when I think about it, like I said, I think that gave me the foundation, but I never saw myself doing this. So this wasn't something I grew up saying, this is what I want to do. Like I
Mhm.
always knew when I like grew up, I wanted to help people in some capacity, but I never thought I would be doing this.
Okay.
But when I started to get to know God for myself in college, and I mean it could be a long story if I go through everything,
Oh, it's
but
okay. Go ahead.
he really started to reveal himself to me in many ways,
Okay.
and in ways that I knew that it could just only be him.
Yeah.
When I think that he was doing that because I needed it at that time.
Okay.
Like I needed my faith to grow. And so
Yeah.
each time that he did something for me, it was like, and think about it visually, it was like I was just adding another brick to my faith wall. It was just getting taller and taller.
Mhm.
And so I believe that through all of that, those experiences and also the experience that I talked about when he was pulling me to join the internship to lead the small group,
Mhm.
I think in the midst of all of that, he kind of gave me the heart that I needed to do this. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, it wasn't something that I grew up thinking I would do. It's not something I necessarily said I wanted to do. But
Yeah.
I believe that through all of those experiences, he kind of gave me the heart to do this through
Yeah.
that.
Okay, that's good. So how can people reach you to join, like give them the information so that they can, sign up for Iron Sharpens Iron?
Yes, well, all they need is the meeting ID, actually. So, and I can give that to you. Let me actually get that now. So, we meet every Monday at 7 p.m. on Zoom,
Okay.
and all you need is the meeting ID. Let me get that. There's no passcode or anything, so it's just the ID. But the meeting ID is 872-4069-2392. So that's every Monday at 7 p.m. Now, I will say during the summer months, we typically do things a bit differently. So we only meet like a couple of times each month. So from June to August, we meet less. And that just kind of gives me time to just kind of refresh and, replenish and get myself together for the fall, but it also gives the members time to travel because a lot of people on vacation and things like that. So we won't start meeting again every Monday until the end of August. But as
Okay.
of now, we're meeting 2 times each month. But I can give you those dates if you like. However, email, however that works, so that if anyone would like to join, they have those dates so that they'll know when we'll be meeting.
Okay. And so what type of small groups are there? Like, I know you said spiritual, but what else is it like, in depth?
So we definitely hit on the biblical spiritual items because it is a Christian based small group. However, with the objective to grow the members in the group, that includes growing them spiritually, but also physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. So
Okay.
we've had quite a few guest speakers come in and talk, and those speakers have talked about things ranging from finances to marriage.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it is like biblical topics, but I also try to bring in speakers to talk about other things as well. So we had someone actually last year come and talk about finances. We
Okay.
had someone this year talk about like marriage and relationships and toxic relationships, or what are some things to look for, things like that. So, definitely want to make sure that the small group members are growing spiritually, but making sure that they're also growing in other ways as well. We also actually do a fitness month. So we just did that in March. So I get some of the workouts together, but I also find the workouts on Instagram. So I post workouts, and obviously everything's up to the members' discretion if they want to do them or not. But I send the workouts, we send recipes. So we just again just do a variety of different things for the members.
Okay.
Right.
So what was your childhood life like as a Christian, growing up in a Christian background? So what was it like having Christian parents?
And I say we, so myself and I have two younger sisters, all of us, well, really I have four siblings, but myself and my two younger sisters, we all grew up in the house together. So I would say that, I think we had a good childhood. So, grew up in a house with two parents. They were both very hardworking. My mom was present in all of our school functions. My dad worked, really hard for us. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she was present in all of our school functions. She was the room mothers. They were at the field trips, everything. And then in terms of it being, Christian background, so we did, grow up in church. Um, I mean, some of my earliest memories are of church. So, like for example, I started like singing in the choir when I was about six-ish, I think six. So that's why I say some of my earliest memories are actually of church. So, um, my parents, if you ask them now, they would say, we grew up, we were poor or whatnot, but we never felt it, if that makes sense. Like they were really good about finding things for us to do, whether that be, going to like summer movie events or different things. So we never felt like we didn't have a lot. Like anytime it came to getting us stuff, whether it was Christmas or birthdays or whatever, we always had. So I think that's just a testament to them and how hard they work for us just to, make the money to provide, but also be creative to find things for us to do and just so that we can have that good childhood. So we had that on one side, but then again, also had the church and the Christian background on the other side. But I mean, if you ask me, I think it was a really good childhood.
So do you believe that with having a mother at home, it was better or more beneficial, or do you believe it would matter either way?
Um, you mean if she worked versus like if she
Yeah.
actually worked? I do think if she worked, she wouldn't have had as much time to be present for some of the school events and things. And maybe so, like this is just what I think. But I think because she didn't work, because she was a stay-at-home mom, she was able to be there for all the events and even came down to like making a lunch for us every day, cooking breakfast. Like I have memories of like going to school to do standardized testing and things, and she would always cook breakfast or she would my mom was very creative growing up, so she always decorated our binders and stuff. So she was just very hands-on. So I think with her not working, it allowed her to be that hands-on with everything that we had going on.
So what was some of the things that she taught you since, like, her being the mother and you being a daughter? What were some of the important things that she's instilled and helped you understand so that you can move forward as you grew?
I think one of the things, well, so faith was always important, just speaking from the church background, faith was always important. So, and I saw her model that, in front of me. So I was able to kind of adopt that myself, but seeing her faith and different things, because like I said, growing up, they would say like we didn't have a lot when we were younger, but my parent, well, God has elevated my parents, so they're not in the same spot now that they were then. So
Yeah.
being able to see that, so I feel like her not just in what she says, but also again in just how she acts and being able to see her faith and things like that. So I would say that's one thing. And then just doing the right thing, having integrity. And one thing I will say about my mom is that she is definitely the example of someone having a servant heart. So a lot of times we talk about, being in church to serve people and give to people, but I think she really embodies that. And even now, like growing up, but also now because she was always helping people and doing for others. My mom's and actually I did say she didn't work, but she actually did start working when I was in middle school age and she started subbing. So technically she was working, but she didn't start working until later. But anyway, we would have kids from the school like coming to the house, just to be around her. I mean, she just had that kind of heart that attracted people to her. And I think it is because of how much she gave to other people and how she didn't judge people, but tried to actually like listen and relate and provide good advice. So, the integrity, the faith, but just also really just her servant heart and the way that she serves and leads others, I think is another important thing that she has taught. And then also just, being a woman, learning from my mother, taking care of yourself, treating yourself well, so, keeping yourself up, just different things like that. So I could probably go on and on, but those are some of the main things that kind of stick out to me.
So did she talk to you about dating and preparing for a husband, and how are you, like, taking that advice? Like, what is your life like with dating right now?
So she did. So I did date, high school, college, and so on. And one thing about my mom, she's the person I can always go to just to pretty much talk about anything. So I would get her advice on, different guys or whatnot, and she would, tell me her honest opinions about them. And I would always take those things into account because I really value her opinion. So what she would say, and my dad also, they both kind of say this, but always get someone that's gonna work, and I think that's because my dad was such a hard worker. And so that was one thing that she would say. And of course, get someone that's gonna treat you well. And she'd also say, get someone who can communicate. So that's another big thing. She was like, get someone who you can communicate well with. And I think that's important because, people throw in that concept of like love languages a lot, and different people do have different ways they like to be loved and whatnot, but people also have different ways of communicating. So I do think it's important for you to be able to connect with the person that you're with on various levels, but also the level of communication as well. And so now I find that, so I'm 27, I'll be 28 this year. So I've kind of feel like I've done that thing of, just dating just because. So now it's more an intentional dating. So I won't just date someone just because. Like if I'm going to date you, I'm going to date you just because I really genuinely like to get to know you more. But
Yeah.
it's not going to be, like you can do this for me, so I'm going to date you. It's like, it's not a transaction thing for me. It's more so, I really am interested in getting to know you more. So we're going to go out and figure out if we like each other. And if we do, great. And if we don't, then, that's an option too. But so it's just more of an intentional, dating for me now instead of just doing it just because.
Wow, I like that. I like that you have so much at this young age, like, because some of us, did a lot of crazy things. I know I did. But that's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
yeah. Well, I feel like, life is short when you think about it. So for me, I just want to, I guess, maximize my time the best that I can. So I don't want to waste time. And obviously, you're gonna have experiences where you do date people, go out with people, and it just doesn't work out. And you don't have to look at that as wasted time. Like maybe you learn something from it, and that's fine. But if I can be intentional about it and minimize the time with people where, because sometimes you get with people and you get your heart broken. It's like you shouldn't even been with that person in the first place. So if for
right.
me, yeah, so it's for me, it's also letting the Lord lead me in that as well. So that I can see the flags, whether it's like green flags go or red flags like stop. This person is this, so we're not going to even go forward. So
Yeah.
also like letting him lead me in that process so that I can make the right decisions. Because people will show you one version of themselves, and it's time to go on and you start seeing other pieces, but it's like the flags have been there all along, but
Yeah.
we're not seeing them. So it's just being able to see those flags and make the best decisions based on that.
Sometimes we do see them and then we just continue because we think we can change
Yeah.
people. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
But I was going to
Yeah.
ask, this is my last question. So as your mother and father, like he was the lead or the head of the home, how has that shaped you as a woman to be able to follow your husband as your mom followed your dad?
Yeah. So I know that the Bible says, a woman should be submissive. And I know a lot of people or a lot of women have an issue with that word because, you think submissive, like I gotta do whatever he says do, and I don't have any agency in the relationship or whatnot. But to me, I don't have a problem submitting to the right person. So I feel like if you're the right man, if you're a good man, then you're not going to abuse that authority. You're not going to abuse being the head. So I feel like as a man or as a godly man, let me say that.
Yeah, man of
um,
God, yeah.
if we're talking about that, the husband and the wife is submitting, then I feel like you are going to take care of your wife because it says, husbands love your wives as Christ, love the church. So
Yeah,
if I think about that relationship, I'm like, oh, well, Christ loves the church. Like we are his church. So he takes care of us. He provides for us. He protects us, all these things. So if my husband is going to love me like Christ loved the church, then he's going to take care of me, provide for me, keep me safe. He's not going to abuse me in any way. So I would have no problem, allowing a man like that to lead me. But it comes down to, you know, finding the right man. Or I guess, being found by the right man, if you want to think about it like that.
Yeah.
You know, meeting the right person and again, allowing God to be the center in that relationship. Because, like I said, you can just kind of go out here and just be with anybody if you want to. I mean, we have free will to do that, but I think it comes to a point in time if you're desiring something a bit deeper, then you just have to get a bit more intentional about it. So,
Beautiful answer. Look at you. Thank you
yeah,
so much for taking time out and talking with me and
yeah, of
because
course.
you're inspirational. So I hope to talk with you soon and see where you go, with Iron Sharpens Iron. And I will see
Yeah,
you next
yeah.
time. We'll catch up again, okay?
Yes, thank you for having me, and I definitely look forward to talking to you again.
All right. Thanks for watching Your Inspirational. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, all right? See you next time.